Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, Barakathom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to Ya'akim out there pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the Brother Raya with another video, and I'll be reading from an article on the economiccollapseblog.com titled, "What is Causing Extremely Bizarre Weather Patterns to Hammer the Middle of the U.S. Over and Over Again?" It's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai beginning to visit this wicked kingdom, Babylon the Great, which is the biblical name for the United States of America. And also we're living in the last seconds of the rulership of Esau Edom, the so-called white man, that red Hebrew Edomite who is the devil that the Bible speaks of. The middle of the country has never seen anything quite like this. As 2019 began, the central portion of the nation was relentlessly hammered by bitter cold and massive snowstorms, and many were hoping for better things once spring arrived. But then in March the flooding began, and it hasn't stopped since. In fact, this is already the longest we have seen flooding along the Mississippi River since 1927, and there is no end in sight. By the time it is all said and done, all of the old records will probably be completely shattered. And also by the time everything's all said and done, Babylon the Great will have been destroyed by 200 million nuclear missiles, as well as the laser beams from the chariot of the Most High, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs, turning this place into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea. Meanwhile, powerful storms continue to pound the heartland every few days. Over the weekend, huge storms struck the middle of the country on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and more are expected on Monday. So what is causing such extremely bizarre weather to happen? Is there a reason why weather patterns have shifted so dramatically? Or is all of this just a really strange coincidence? And when you come to understand these scriptures, you'll see that there are no such thing as strange coincidences. This is Isaiah 28 verse 2. "Behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, massive snowstorms, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, historic flooding along the Mississippi River, shall cast down to the earth with the hand." Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is visiting not only Babylon the Great, but you Edomites, or so-called white people, for the wickedness and destruction that you've committed not just against the entire planet, but especially against the apple of the Most High's eye, the children of Israel, the true children of Israel, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And again, we're living in the last seconds of Esau Edom's rulership. He's just about reached his bounds which he cannot pass, and has just about fulfilled everything in scripture that he's supposed to fulfill for prophecy. The main thing we're waiting for is for Esau Edom to mandatorily implement the mark of the beast, which is that microchip implant. And once he does that, it's game over for his rulership. Nobody can possibly claim that what we are witnessing is normal. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the last year has been the wettest 12-month period in recorded history for the lower 48 states. The continental United States just recorded its wettest 12-month period in recorded history, while also moving one step closer to being drought-free, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Needless to say, all of this wet weather has changed a tremendous amount of flooding. It has caused a tremendous amount of flooding, and at this point, this is the longest lasting Mississippi River flood since 1927. Mississippi River flooding has been ongoing for 3 months or longer in some locations, making it the longest lasting flood there since the Great Flood of 1927, the worst flood in modern history on the lower Mississippi River. Take Vicksburg, Mississippi, for example. The Mississippi River went above flood stage there on February 17th and has remained in flood ever since. The National Weather Service said this is the longest continuous stretch above flood stage since 1927 at Vicksburg. And since there is no end in sight for the flooding, all of the old records may end up being broken by a very wide margin. Very weird weather is happening out west too, In fact, several feet of snow just fell in the mountains of California. Parts of California still resemble a scene out of winter, with a series of storms bringing several feet of snow to mountain areas ahead of a significant severe weather threat across the nation's midsection. The National Weather Service said that a series of Pacific storms are bringing heavy rain, mountain snow, and gusty winds across the West. A winter storm warning was issued Wednesday night that will run through Friday morning for the southern Sierra Nevada, back in Isaiah 28:2, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm. In every year there are moments of bad weather, but that isn't what we are talking about. In 2019, it is as if we are being hit with a sledgehammer day after day after day. Of course, this has been absolutely disastrous for agricultural production. At this point, U.S. farmers have planted less than half the corn that they were expected to plant by now. For much more on this, please see my previous article entitled Total Catastrophe for U.S. Corn Production. Only 30% of U.S. cornfields have been planted. A 5-year average is 66%. And now I'm going to go to 2 Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to start at verse 11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. And these massive snowstorms, regular storms, as well as historic flooding are plagues that are smiting this Egypt, this spiritual Egypt, which is the United States of America. Because when you go to Revelation 11 verse 8, the United States is referred to as spiritual Egypt and spiritual Sodom. And also those 10 plagues that hit ancient Egypt are going to hit this modern day spiritual Egypt as well. Verse 12, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn. These U.S. farmers, you're seeing record numbers of U.S. farmers file for bankruptcy as well as commit suicide. And this trade war with China, as well as these adverse weather patterns destroying their crops, is just going to further exacerbate this mourning. For their seeds shall fail, only 30% of corn crops being planted instead of the usual 66%, through the blasting and hail and with the fearful constellation. And all this is leading towards the coming food crisis, which is going to have a lot of people hurt out here. Verse 14, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. And woe means destruction. We like to think that we are not vulnerable to the vagaries of the weather thanks to all our advanced technology, but that is not true at all. And over the weekend, things got even worse. Starting on Friday and Saturday, a string of immensely powerful storms devastated communities all over the Midwest. A plethora of tornado reports began rolling in Friday in Nebraska and Kansas. On Saturday, almost a dozen were reported in Texas and Oklahoma. In Texas, the National Weather Service for Abilene/San Angelo concluded that an EF2 tornado with winds of up to 135 miles per hour damaged homes in San Angelo. Drew Lewis was hunkered down with his family as the storm battered his home. There was a suction from under the door. I could feel it, he said. Then all the windows just exploded. It was just chaos from there until the storm died down. Then on Sunday, more huge storms produced literally dozens of tornadoes across the region. Severe thunderstorms continued to rumble across parts of the U.S. Sunday, damaging buildings in Louisiana after spawning more than 36 reports of tornadoes across 5 states. Again, back in Isaiah 28:2, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, severe thunderstorms. Several homes and businesses were damaged, and power lines and trees were down throughout Evangeline Parish, Louisiana, after severe thunderstorms and possible tornadoes moved through the area early Sunday morning. The town of Ville Platte, about 76 miles northwest of Baton Rouge, was especially hard hit. Unfortunately, there is still more to come. In fact, an entirely new weather system will hit the middle of the country on Monday. On Monday, a new system will develop off the high plains and slide east into the southern plains. The dry line will interact with an increasingly moist and unstable air mass that will develop across parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. Unfortunately, that means very favorable conditions for violent, severe weather in parts of this region. We are being told that the storms on Monday could affect nearly 50 million people. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, especially in Babylon the Great. For a long time, I have been warning that global weather patterns are dramatically changing, but at first, a lot of people wanted to argue that it wasn't true. Well, these days, the number of people that want to claim that I am wrong has gone way down. Of course, throughout all of human history, weather patterns have always been changing, and so change isn't something that is new. But the changes that we are witnessing in our time appears to be taking an apocalyptic turn because we're in the last seconds of these last days, and nobody is exactly sure what is going to happen next. But I can tell you what exactly is going to happen next. Babylon the Great is going to fall, and not only are you Edomites or so-called white people going to be taken out of power, but you other heathen nations are going to go down as well and be slaves under the feet of the children of Israel, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are going to be put back into power and rule for eternity. So as you brothers can see, things just aren't looking good for the good old US of A. And you'll have some people out there that'll say, oh, it's the elites using HARP to cause all these adverse weather patterns. But even if that were the case, it's all through the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. This is Proverbs 21 verse 1. The king's heart, or the king's mind, is in the hand of Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So if it is the elites using HARP to cause all these adverse weather patterns, it's the Most High putting the spirit on these elites to use HARP to cause these weather patterns to further fulfill prophecy, because we're all just puppets of the Most High playing our part in his movie. And I'm going to close it out with Jeremiah 14 and 22 just to further hammer in that point. Are there any among the vanities of the Gentiles that can cause rain? Or can the heavens give showers? Art not thou he, O Yahweh our power? Therefore we will wait upon thee, for thou hast made all these things. Are there any among the vanities of the Gentiles, such as HARP, that can cause rain? Or can the heavens give showers? Art not thou he, O Yahweh our power? For thou hast made all these things. So if HARP is being used to cause these weather patterns, again, it's just the Most High putting the spirit on the elites to use HARP for that purpose. So with this video, I hope you sincere Akim were edified. Just keep pushing this word. We're almost out of this wicked kingdom of Esau Edoms. And as always, I'm going to say Abba Bo, Kwam Yasharala. Till next time, Shalom.